gentlemen, welcome to Snap Material, the very special episode that Source Material brings to you, where me, myself, and Evan Bevins, there's not three of us, it's just me and Evan and himself, get together to talk about the Marvel mobile game, Marvel Snap. If you caught us last season, I should say last month, you could hear Evan and I talking about Into the Quantum Realm and then our discussion about the most recent season, Days of Future Past. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to discuss our experience with the previous season. Recent season just launched. So today is April 5th that we're recording this. This week, they released Animals Assemble. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. What is our special project that we are bringing to the listeners? Last month, it was the top 5 unsnapped Marvel characters that do not have cards in Marvel Snap right now. What is this one we're going to be doing, Evan?
We're going to be rating our best comic accurate combos.
Okay.
So we're factoring in how well it reflects the comics. You know, like last time we discussed your ability to recreate those classic Morbius MODOK team-ups that we all remember from the Silver Age on. So not only the comic accuracy, but the effectiveness and possibly other factors. I think we mentioned we'd consider those, and we may have thrown in other things. So
this was a tough list. I'll just put it that for me, this was tough.
It ended up not being as tough as I thought it was going to be.
Okay, I'm surprised. I can't wait to talk about it. And yeah, we're going to do it just like last time. We'll start from 5 and go on the way up. I don't know if you have yours ranked, but that's pretty much what
I've got them ranked.
All right, good deal. Okay, now
Jesse, I have my top 10 favorite episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer ranked, and I've never written it or even discussed it, but I wrote it down anyway.
It's there. But before I proceed any further, one thing I must say is happy belated birthday to you, sir. Apparently,
thank you very much.
Yeah, apparently your birthday was yesterday, and friend of the show, listener Nathan Scott Arnold chimed in this evening, and he says to make sure that you understood that he hoped your birthday was full of snappy goodness.
Oh, wow.
And that he wishes he was just half the HeroClix player that you were.
That's not a very high bar, but I appreciate that. And I did have a birthday snap match that I will regale you with.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about that. Did you and Nathan used to play HeroClix?
We play now, actually. I finally talked him into it.
Oh, good, good.
So yeah, we got a growing community down at the shop.
I loved hearing that. Love it.
So now we just have to get you down there.
Yeah, this is the Lost Legion.
Yeah.
I know where you're at. My cousin, actually, it's my wife's cousin, works at the tattoo parlor right beside there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Tommy. So I've been in Lost Legion once, and that was when Mindy went and got her tattoo, and I walked over. I was like, "What is this place?" It's been there forever, though. I just haven't had a chance to get down there and visit as much.
We had a pretty regular set of games going on there, and then a couple people moved away. Something about a virus, a pandemic. I don't know if you heard about that.
I did.
But yeah, we just finally got it fired up, and Nathan and a couple other folks who have been curious about it came out and started playing.
All right. Well, let's go ahead. We'll talk about Days of Future Past and our experience with that season. We had 4 cards that released: Kitty Pryde, Master Mold, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Nimrod. So those 4 cards released, and then we had locations of Orcus Forge, Asteroid.
And 3 of them are still in the game.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Locations are Orcus Forge, Asteroid M, and Krakoa. So I'm just quickly listing them down, but we are definitely going to talk a little bit about each one of these and our experience with them. So let's go ahead and right off the bat, let's talk about Kitty Pryde and what happened. Let's just say before the big event, did you run into her at all?
No.
Okay.
No, just saw her on the the thing on the main screen that says, "Hey, there's a new card available," but I hadn't come across her.
And I can tell you, I didn't have any interaction with her. One thing I did learn is that she does start at 0.
Okay.
I think we were initially like 0 seems pretty low. We saw a card that said 2, but then as we looked a little bit further into it, she definitely started at 0. But from the mechanics, from what I had seen, you physically brought her back into your hand somehow. But we were thinking that it was a situation where you have to lay her on a lane and then somebody returns her to your hand and then she gets the bonus.
Yeah, like Falcon or Beast or
right.
toss back out of Luke's bar.
This thing, the way that I was seeing it, it looks like they were laying her down, setting her out there, bringing her back into the hand somehow, and then laying her back out, and that would give her another boost. But I remember watching a video going, whoa, wait a second, this is not what I'm used to. This feels like something that's almost game breakable.
Yeah.
And then we find out they had some technical issues regarding Kitty Pryde. Essentially, it was glitching the game horribly.
Most comic accurate card in the game so far.
Right.
I had a friend that texted me about that, and he said, boy, they're really working the meta game, having Kitty Pryde shut down machinery.
So, yeah, I didn't run into her at all either because I wanted to see how she would work. And I don't know how long she was out there, if she was out there very long before they were like, oh, wait a second, we're bringing her back. I think what I had seen is that, yeah, there were situations where the game would just completely crash and you couldn't get back into it if she was out there. Moving on, did you run into any encounters with Master Mold?
A couple, but nothing that really altered any games for me.
I ran into him once for sure that I know of. I think he's a pretty powerful card if you can get him going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is a situation that Master Mold you lay out Master Mold, it adds 2 Sentinels to your opponent's hand. And we were like, man, if you could really fill up that hand, then you're going to be, all they'll be able to do is lay down Sentinels, and that's it. But yeah, I think...
And they can't get rid of them, because every time you lay down Sentinel...
I think one comes back.
And I've really thought of the downside of Sentinels before this season, but in the game, I do have a problem with robots being created to hunt a certain class of people.
I agree. I agree.
That's not cool.
Right. I certainly don't recall having any problems that shut me down either. This person laid them out there, and it's a very good possibility this might have been an Agent 13 acquirer, when they laid out Agent 13 and they didn't build the deck around Master Mold. But I really do want that card, and I want to be able to try and build a deck for it. I do enjoy, screwing people's game plan up a lot. That's why I'm a big Quake fan. If you can get in and mess with what they're trying to do, there's a good possibility that deck or that combo that they're shooting for is not going to work.
It worked well with Ronan the Accuser. I ended up using Ronan a few times this season.
Oh, did you?
I think mainly just because I was thinking about how he would work with Master Mold. But he's not the card that I forced into a bunch of decks this time around. And it's not the one you're thinking of either. I
did run into... this is a couple seasons ago, but Darkhawk's finally starting to become more accessible. The amount of Darkhawk decks that are teamed with like Korg and Rockslide.
The only reason I use Korg and Rockslide, which is a shame because Korg is my favorite character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but he just doesn't have a lot of use here. But yeah, that's who I started taking existing decks. And I'm like, if I take that out, I can put Darkhawk in it.
Yes.
Then I can put Korg and Rockslide in it.
So, okay, moving on to Negasonic Teenage Warhead, 3 cost, 4 power. This one was if you played the card and they played a card at the same location at any point, either I assume the same turn after you played it, I should say after it flips, or afterwards, she gets destroyed and whatever card gets played there gets destroyed as well. Now, I ended up with this card twice in my hands. One time, the first time I was like, all right, here we go. And the person either retreated or there was a situation where I couldn't even play it. And I had this plan to use it. And then the second time, I for the life of me, I can't remember specifically if I used it and it worked well. But it's not a situation where I was like, oh man, what a game changer. I think if I played with it more frequently, I could build a deck around it. But it was... it wasn't a card that I acquired other than through just random stuff, probably through Agent Coulson or something.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if I ever got it. I had it played against me once, and I remember I did activate the power, and I don't remember enough about the circumstances. I need to work on my note taking. I remember it did what it was supposed to do, and I was like, oh, okay, so that's how that works.
It's kind of expected. All right, well, that's it's kind of expected. I mean, the advantage of it is it would possibly stave off some people from playing in that lane. So, or they're going to throw rocks down there. So you can.
Yeah, it gives you a temporary death's domain or something like that, or Vormir.
Right.
You know, you're going to have to sacrifice a card. So yeah, that's a
Right.
It adds a wrinkle.
Well, last one that got released, and I'm sure you saw a ton of this one because it was the featured card, and that is Nimrod. Because I played against plenty of Nimrod decks almost like right after the new season started.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was like, oh man, here we go. What is this going to be like?
These people with their disposable incomes.
Right. So that, if that card, basically Nimrod, if the card was destroyed, a copy of it will get added to each other location. If you could pair that with a Hulkbuster and then Arnim Zola it, yeah, you might be able to take care of business pretty quickly.
Yeah, Venom's another good one. But the one that I did not think about with it, and a card that I saw a lot more than ever this season with or without Nimrod, was Galactus.
Oh yeah.
Whenever I randomly get Galactus, I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Even if I've got, I'll have 2 points, big deal. Well, but so you put Wave out there or whatever, so you can get Galactus earlier, or you play him on Nimrod. So instead of 2 points, you've got 7. I mean, you play him at a different location than Nimrod.
Get yourself a Wolverine out there too.
Oh yeah,
if you can.
I saw quite a few Galactuses, not as many as I saw Nimrods.
Wow.
It's a good card, and it can be really well done, but it's not Long White Tiger Odin or nearly as destructive as the leader was alleged to be.
He's still upset, folks. He's still salty.
He's just another card now.
And I didn't put a section in here. I honestly thought about talking about nerfs that happened this season too, because I mean, just to quickly kind of go over what they did here, and you may remember this a little bit better than I do, but they definitely nerfed Arrow.
Yeah.
Where now, instead of moving every card, she only moves the last card played. So they could lay down 3 cards, and she's only going to grab the last card that's out there and move it. And then the whole Shuri thing, everybody was expecting Shuri to be nerfed. What they ended up doing is nerfing just about everybody that comboed with Shuri instead.
Yeah.
Now I don't understand.
I mean, I've gotten smacked down by Shuri, but it's kind of like Nimrod. It's not unbeatable.
Okay.
To me,
right?
Anyway,
right. Well,
because I get beaten by so many other things that it's really,
Oh man.
I should have Shuri by now, but I went for
you went for Black Panther, I think.
Yeah, well, I went for somebody else before Shuri, and then I was like, okay, now I'm saving up for Shuri, and then there was Black Panther, and then I was like, now I'm saving up for Shuri, and then there was Darkhawk. And forget the effectiveness of Darkhawk, Jesse. It's Darkhawk.
I know, right.
Chris Armstrong knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he does.
And then so I was like, okay, well maybe now Dazzler. So then I pinned Dazzler. So one day, when Shuri, I don't know if this is possible, but drops all the way to Series 1, where it's just like, you logged in, have this card.
There you go. Right. Well, so yeah, Nimrod did exactly as advertised. There was definitely some interesting plays. I've still come across Nimrod here lately. Let's talk about the locations now. Get into the locations of things and how location. So our first location was Orcus Forge, where you played a card there. It added a Sentinel to your hand.
Like I said, I hadn't before this season. I hadn't considered the downside of Sentinels cards, but Luke's Bar is one of those that can be annoying, and then you figure out, okay, well, I could use Brood or Mr. Sinister or Jubilee to sneak another card in there. And that's all well and good, but what didn't occur to me was that helpful tip that they always say, you can't have more than 7 cards in your hand. I was playing a game, and Orcus Forge was one location, and Luke's Bar was the other, and eventually we got so clogged up with Sentinels that they couldn't toss the cards back in our hand.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because I saw a picture of where Galactus was sitting at Luke's Bar. Which, we got to write stories about this at some point.
Yeah.
Galactus is sitting at Luke's Bar, and everybody's like, how did this happen? Well, the guy's hand was completely full. He lays down Galactus, and then Luke's Bar is not sending Galactus back. It was, it was really interesting to watch that person win.
But
yeah, right.
But yeah, I was like, oh, okay. Well, so that's a way around Luke's Bar. Not sure if it'll happen again, but
Yeah, you got it. Getting 7 cards in your hand and having them sit there. That's one way to get around it, though.
You know, I have code names for my decks. The ones that I make just specifically for a location, I label the secret defenders.
Okay.
A lineup assembled only for a particular mission. I don't even think I made a whole other deck for it, but I added Ronan the Accuser to my Devil Dinosaur deck.
Okay.
Codename Jurassic League.
I love it.
And so it just because I figured, well, I'm going to have extra cards, my opponent's going to have extra cards, so let's have the guys that play off of both of those.
Right. Smart. I think I was running. I mean, I definitely was doing Collector Quinjet for that. You know, getting those in there and then just laying them down as soon as I got them, and then just barely, you know, and never ran out of cards ever. But yeah, your Devil Dinosaur suggestion's perfect for that.
And that deck already has the Collector and the Quinjet in it, so I think maybe I might have, to add Ronan or some others in there, I may have dropped a card or two that added cards, because obviously that wasn't an issue.
You don't need that anymore.
So I think I tweaked that a little bit, but mainly I just added Ronan because I figured, well, he or she is going to be stockpiling cards just like I am. So
right, okay. Next up was Asteroid M, and I remember when this dropped, I was like, man, I am so excited for this. I've got a deck ready to go. I know that what we had suggested on here was Green Goblin, Vulture, definitely. I think Vulture was a good pick for that. Crossbones, that was the one where I was having some problems. Like, I wanted Crossbones to work so well in the deck that I had just custom fit for Asteroid M, but there was never a situation where it would come up that I would, whatever I was playing, they were playing as well, and it was zipping over there anyway. Yeah. So it didn't really, for some reason, it just didn't seem to make much of a difference.
Yeah, I used a lot of Green Goblin on your suggestion there, although I'm not sure that it did anything other than, you know, make me go, yeah, it worked on Asteroid M.
Right, it went over there.
I'm not sure that it's any more effective than just using Green Goblin with any location, but it was fun to see him fly up and then sideways. So, but yeah, Vulture I used a lot, and on one game, along with Asteroid M, I got the cloning vats. So
oh my goodness!
Drop Vulture in the cloning vats. He gets yoinked over to Asteroid M, boosts up to 8, and then when the clone card appears in my hand, it's a 3-cost 8 power.
Unbelievable.
So drop Vulture in the cloning vats again. He gets pulled over. Now I've got a 3/13 on the board and a 3/13 in my hand.
Oh my goodness!
I did win that game.
Nice.
I don't remember if they retreated or not, but I won that one.
Next up is Krakoa. So, you know, this was Mini Ego. My first note here was Krakoa was, I know I sent you a message. I was like, you know, Krakoa looks like they know what they're doing. Look at this. And I think the reason I had said that, it was like Death's Domain. And for some reason, Krakoa grabs, like, you know, whatever card it was on turn 5 and throws it on Death's Domain. And I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, I'm dead. Why did they do this? But Krakoa also grabs magic from the other player and throws it out there. And sure enough, I was able to actually stay alive during that. But then things kind of went downhill from there. Krakoa's AI is pretty questionable.
Yeah, I just look back at our conversation when I went on, I think when Krakoa was featured, I went on a mini rant.
Yeah, you said, can we talk about how this is the worst card or the worst location?
I don't think Krakoa is any better than Ego, but I'm looking at the distribution, and I'm not sure what angered me about it in that particular instance. But now, let's see. I have, I still haven't figured out the math of Iron Man and Onslaught, because it doesn't just double and double again. Something else happens in there. So, and then I had that combo coming up, and I was going to put Iron Man and Onslaught on Mojo World. Krakoa was like, no, you know what? Instead of putting Iron Man there, I'm going to put Colossus and Lizard in there. Because the best place to put Lizard is a place where your opponent has added incentive to play 4 cards.
Oh, man.
So, like, not only did it break up a combo that would have, you know, gotten me roughly 11 billion points, because that's how it works, but it replaced it with a card that has no business ever being played on Mojo World. Unless you've, you know, Enchantressed him or something.
Unreal.
Then its response for the other guy was to play Quake not in the center on Death's Domain. I mean, I don't know if he had Sunspot and it was like, I'm going to make sure you don't get those points. But I mean, the only reason, like, you either play Quake in the center or you play her to get 3 points somewhere and not screw up the board.
Right.
But he played it on Death's Domain, not in the middle.
Ridiculous.
Oh, what was the other one? And then I've got a picture of Krakoa playing Iron Man on itself, doubling all the other cards I had there, which were none. They got 9 points on Asteroid M. My opponent has 9. Krakoa's like, no, going to put Iron Man right here.
He belongs right here. Wow.
Now, I did have 2 6-cost cards in my hand and one of them was Onslaught, so maybe that's what it was thinking, but I don't think so. Yeah. I'm pretty sure out of all the cards I have, I think I've used all of them except one.
Except one.
There's one card I have not used, and I can't really think of a scenario where I would want to use it.
Okay, I'm really curious now.
Agatha Harkness.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
I know it's 14 points, but it's just like, hey, instead of a random location to screw it up, I'm inviting you to ruin my deck.
What was it? Somebody...
Like, I can lose on my own.
Yeah. I can say that I own that one, too, and I have not played it because, I mean, what's the point then?
I'm going through more of my Krakoa rants. Let's see. Right after I message you, how much time are we devoting on the next Snap material to how much Krakoa sucks?
Right.
Yeah, it did play Cosmo opposite my opponent's Wong. That sounds weird. It did play Cosmo there and shut down Wong, so that was a good idea. But I also had multiple. It was on turn 5, and I had multiple 4 and 5 cost cards that it could have played. Maybe doubling up Spider Woman or Hazmat.
Right.
But yeah, and then in another game when I had Wong, turn 5 comes up and I've got Spider Woman and Hazmat ready to, and I had Luke Cage on the board, so ready to reduce.
Take out some power.
Turn 5, so there's a 5 cost, 8 power. Subtract 1 from the people on the other side, or Hazmat, subtract 2 from everybody. So Krakoa played a rock and Hazmat on a location that didn't have Wong.
Oh, no.
Even with all the frustration, it is neat, the idea that the game can just kind of take over and do something unexpected. And I like that it's only one turn instead of
Ego's
the entire thing. You just have to hope that Ego blindly grabs Scarlet Witch or Rhino.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I like that, but if it wasn't so often the objectively worst play.
No kidding.
Like if it was just random, but I remember as a kid playing, even back on the Atari or the Nintendo, I would get mad. I would say the computer's cheating.
Okay.
The benefit of hindsight, I probably just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Okay. But this time I feel like, Ego or Krakoa, and I assume Agatha, are just intentionally like, hey, let's see if we can make this guy lose, and the only hope I have is that they're also doing the same for the person across from me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. It feels personal. Krakoa definitely adds an unexpected random element to the gameplay. It's going to hopefully mess it up for both players.
But when it's not the featured deck, it's when it's not the featured location, I don't mind it as much.
Sure, I hear you.
When you're going into every game going, okay, at some point something dumb's going to happen.
There was an interesting thing that Krakoa did when I had I think I had a Nightcrawler out there. It moved my Nightcrawler. So not only will it play the cards from your hand, but it will move cards if that's possible on the board.
Did it move it to Atlantis where you were winning with a single card?
Can't remember what in the world happened.
It just seems like something it would do.
Right. Okay. Well, there we go. That's
in the original comics, Krakoa is like this raging out of control monster. These days, it's a mutant homeland and mysterious. And in here, it's just like a jerk that's not too brave.
It really is. Thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the next installment of Snap Material.